Hey everybody, today I'm talking about Newton. Now Newton is a 2018 release board game for 1 to 4 players. It takes about an hour and a half to play. The game is released by Cranio Creations, who've made loads of cool Euro games, and it's by designers Nestori Mangone, who's pretty much unknown, and Simone Luciani, who is very much known. He's pretty much renowned as one of the best Euro game designers working today. This one didn't quite hit the kind of publication or didn't get the buzz that a lot of Luciani's games get, but it has slowly crept up the rankings and it's starting to get a bit of recognition for how well the game is designed. So this does have quite a lot of similarities to a lot of his other games in terms of being like engine building, focused on getting your engine rolling and getting more and more victory points. But this one has an element of deck building to it, as you start with a hand of basic cards, which all have allocated actions to them, and as the game develops, you're going to pick up and buy more and more powerful cards to take more powerful actions. The game is kind of set in Europe. You are basically taking the role of a young scientist. You are trying to travel around Europe, collecting or visiting all these different universities and ancient sites. You're trying to kind of develop your research and get money and stuff like that. So the theme is it's loosely tied in, but it does work quite well because ultimately, the more kind of sites you visit, you're going to take this action based on your bookshelves, which lets you allocate books to your bookshelf, which can unlock points by filling up rows and columns of empty spaces. So yeah, the way that all the different things link together are quite nicely, especially because it's boiled down into such few actions. So as I said, the first action is the one that you travel around Europe on, and the more you travel around to the different sites, you put these little travelling cubes down. If somebody goes there after you, there's no real bother because you're not locked out of going certain spaces or anything like that. The next one is simply getting money, and when you get to certain spots on the money track, you can kind of unlock new abilities or get little bonuses. Another one is that kind of research track where you're kind of developing your theories, which again can get you one-off abilities or can potentially get you endgame scoring opportunities based on certain criteria you have. And finally, you've got the one based on your bookshelves, which, as I said, the more you visit certain places or get to certain spots, you can fill in those spaces with your books. The cool thing about this, though, is, as I said, that engine building element, because when you play an action card, not only do you get to take that action, you also get to take it one point higher or stronger for each icon of the same type you've got beforehand. So say I had a traveling icon, I played a travel card, I get to travel 1 space, but then I played another travel card, I get to travel 2 spaces, and then another one and 3 spaces and stuff like that. And at the end of every round, which I think is when you play 5 cards, you're going to take one of those cards you've played and you're going to tuck it under your player board, which means you're not going to be able to use that card anymore. But from now on, you're going to get every action of that type 1 stronger. So again, a nice way to kind of, that cadence of the game is there. It always ramps up and always feels like you're getting more and more powerful because you're getting more and more actions per action you take, which is very nice. It does have that nice snowballing effect and it feels like you're getting stronger and stronger. I love the way that everything mixes in together. So the mechanisms are excellently designed, as you'd expect from anything that's got Luciani's name on. The way that you have to travel to certain spaces to unlock more bookshelf spots. Obviously, the stronger the bookshelf actions you get, the more shelves you can put them on, or the kind of deeper on the shelves you can get, which can potentially get you a lot more points. Because as I said, you're trying to fill up rows and columns as quickly as possible, because at the end of each round, you're going to score points depending on how many rows and columns you filled. Which is a very different approach to a Euro game. Normally you kind of just get points for doing everything, or it's rarely you kind of unlock the scoring opportunities each round, which is quite nice. And it's quite cool how you can go different routes, maybe going for lots of small different areas, or go for a nice big chunky one and get loads of points that way. So yeah, it's very nicely how it's all boiled together and how everything kind of synergizes together. The different approaches you can take. Are you going to focus on getting your research up and getting points that way and focusing on end game scoring, or are you going to get all those get your rows and columns filled up? So everything is kind of based on getting prerequisites for filling up your shelves. And one of the things is, as I said, reaching the universities and in ruin sites. Some of them are just having certain types of books revealed, because sometimes when you buy new cards, they have books on them, and then depending on if you have certain books revealed, you can fill up those spaces as well. Additionally, you can get these potions that you can use, and you can cash them in as wilds, which can be very useful because they let you fill in maybe things that you can't quite reach yet. And so you've got a nice bit of versatility there. You've got a few bonus actions you can take, which you kind of get with a lot of Luciani games, where you can either kind of cash in a certain amount of money to take things at an action stronger, or you can buy potions, or you can put new workers on your research board. So again, everything is useful in this game. The travel is useful, the technology is useful, the money is always useful because it lets you do more things. When you get to certain spots on the board as well, you can unlock these the MasterCards, forgive me, I forgot what they're called, which are very useful and can give you very powerful end-game strategies and abilities, or instant rewards or long-term rewards. So yeah, loads of things you'd expect from a Euro game, and you know, just the credibility of this designer is just, he's never let himself down. He's never phoned it in, and this is another game that's just designed to a T, just masterfully. It's so well done. So mechanically, the game just works excellently. It has a great pace to it. It doesn't outstay its welcome whatsoever. Just the 6 rounds that you take, each of the 6 rounds you're playing 5 cards. Very, very nice. So in terms of the balance and the different strategies you can take, yeah, no complaints whatsoever. It just seems like everything is just designed to a T, and it's just absolutely wonderful. In terms of its kind of the time it takes is fantastic. An hour and a half will fly by when you're playing this game, and there's no reason why it should take ever longer than that. I think you could even get this done with 4 players in an hour and a half quite comfortably, and 2 players you can probably get it done in about just over an hour, which is very, very nice. And it doesn't feel like a quick game either. It feels like you are, you know, you can sink your teeth into it and explore the different strategies, and it does feel like you've got all those decisions you'd expect from a full-fledged Euro game. Uptime, excellent as well, because well, one of the things is kind of an objective criticism of the game. It almost feels very multiplayer solitaire. There's not really a lot of player interaction. The only things you might kind of inconvenience you is if somebody takes the cards you want or buys the cards you want, or certain spots on the board when you travel around Europe or when you travel down the technology track. You can get one-off bonuses, which give you quick rewards, such as like a bit of money or a point here or there, or a potion here or there. So you are rewarded for doing things before other players in some respects, but generally you're not going to get locked out of spaces or anything like that. But that's a good thing as well, because you know, you can really plan your turns ahead. You're not really depending on what the other players are doing to really kind of throw you off track. You know, you can really just stick to your plan and strategize as much as you like, because nobody is going to mess it up for you, which is really nice. Replayability wise as well is fantastic, because the layout of Europe and the layout of the technology track is randomized. You've got all these different kind of tiles, and you can mix them all up and put them on the board randomly. And meaning that every game you're going to play is going to have a very different feel. You're going to prioritize different things, which again, very, very nice. And yeah, so replayability wise, I think it's excellent. Always going to see different cards come out at different times. You know, as I said, different end game criteria, because not all the tiles are used, and you've got loads of different things you can focus on and maximize your points. So really like that. Aesthetically, I think it looks very nice. A nice clean design. Symbology is always good, I think, with Luciani games. And Clemens Fran's artwork is always clean and crisp, and just so synonymous with Euro games. And you know, whenever I see his artwork, it just makes me feel you know, like I'm in safe hands. Component quality as well is absolutely fine. I mean, there's no issues at all. It's not the best of the best, but it's nothing to complain about, and it's not really worth mentioning because it's up to scratch and it's of a good quality. And theme-wise as well, people say this game doesn't have any theme in it whatsoever, but I actually disagree. I think it has a very nice theme to it. I just think that idea of kind of, you know, traveling around Europe and doing all these different things in order to, so you can write books on the subject, it just fits quite well. And I just like that kind of, you know, research and scientific kind of feel to it. And I think it comes through quite nicely, which I think most people probably disagree with. But again, I think it works very well. And setup and teardown time as well is actually very, very simple, because all you got to do is mix up those tiles, give up each player's starting hands, and you're pretty much good to go. There's not really much fiddly setup. Maybe setting up the cubes and the travel cubes on your board takes a bit longer, but it's a great mechanism, because as you travel more around, as you get to the later spots of dropping those cubes off, you're going to get more and more points, which again, just another strategy you can focus on. And it's just another different avenue to go down to get every point you can out of the game. So yeah, overall, this game is fantastic. It's so good. It's just absolutely, you know, my expectations are always sky high with anything, with any Italian designer on from this kind of conglomerate of Italian game designers, but this one is just blown me away. It's so good, and you know, there's got to be a time where they just can't keep up the standard of gaming, because everything they bring out is just top quality. It just sings to me perfectly. The deck building aspect is really good. I love the tension of having to shed a card each turn, because you know, you got to, I said at the end of each round, you've got to submit a card to the game, and basically it's not all bad, because you get that action stronger when you play more cards of that type, but it means that you're potentially sacrificing the top action, which can be quite powerful. So yeah, love the flow of this one, love the feel of it, love the different options. The balance is great, it looks great. I think it's very, well, thematic as a Euro game can be. I just in love with it, and it just absolutely cemented a place on my game shelf straight away. And it's just another one of their massive fleet of amazing games. Definitely check this one out if you like any of the games that they've brought out. Luciani's responsible for games like Zolk and the Mayan Calendar, the Grand Austria Hotel, The Voyages of Marco Polo, Council of Four. So yeah, so many top elite level Euro games. This is just another one of those, or can easily hold its own against any of those games. That's how good this one is. So yeah, it's definitely recommended from me. It won't let you get down, and definitely check this one out if you do like Euro games. I think this should be rated higher on the BGG rankings than it currently is. I think it's currently in the top 400. This could easily be in the top 100 for me. It's that good. Check it out. So this one gets an amazing verdict from me. I've given it about an 8.75 out of 10, which is really, really high. Probably tucked into my top 20 games of all time. That's how much I think of it. If you have enjoyed this review, please hit like and subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos too. For everyone else, I'll see you next time on Chairman of the Board. Bye.